Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Arsenal 101 Premier League review of the week. And what a massive week of football we've just had. Welcome, as always, Neil. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Still buzzing from the results during the week via Prime Video. Some good games went on. Some good scores. You know the score that
Yes.
I'm going to be talking about, right?
So it's been a lot of goals this week. We've had two sets of games from match day 13, match day 14. We should be joined by Andy, I believe, pretty soon. So we'll just talk about how the week's been going for you guys. Liverpool obviously started off with a 4-0. 4 seems to be the magic number for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, you know it's really funny. For some reason, and I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. We're managing to put away our chances because the amount of chances that we get per game, the rate is really, really poor. I mean, seriously, 4 isn't enough when you see the amount of chances that we get in some of those games. We get 20 and 30 chances, and when you're only scoring like maybe 4 goals from those chances, that's not a great payback, you know. But do you know, as long as we get the 3 points at the end of the day, we can't really complain too much.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, we seem to be doing well at the moment, and we need to try and keep up with obviously the leaders, Chelsea and City in second place. If we don't do just as well, we're going
Yeah.
to fall by the wayside. Can't let
Yeah.
those guys run away with it at this moment in time.
And then it would be remiss of me not to mention the magic man at the moment. I mean, Mo Salah just seems to be in some kind of football nirvana at the moment. He just, everything he touches seems to want to go back in the back of the net.
Do you know? As I said, I'm not going to complain because I'm always the one who's always complaining that he's getting all these chances and hardly putting anything away. But he's now starting to put a couple more away, and we're getting 3 points from it. So yeah, I mean everything he touches at the moment is turns to gold. But then you got to remember he's not the only one who's doing all the work. He's just the one on the end of the ball, which is really good. But yeah, he's doing good. He's doing good. Just need
Cool.
Mane to pick up and start scoring more goals and that sort of stuff as well.
Cool.
But it's
Cool.
all good. It's all good.
So we're at week 15, match day 15 tomorrow, and already Mo Salah has got 13 goals and 8 assists.
Yep.
Where do you think he's going to end up? I mean,
I
you've got,
actually believe at his current rate he's going to get the golden boot.
yeah,
Yeah, he's going. I mean, it'll be a crime if he does so much work and doesn't get it in the end.
yeah.
But obviously he's got to keep scoring goals. But
Mm.
he's well on the way to getting that. I reckon at his current rate he'll probably hit around about 22, 23 goals for the season.
Okay.
You know, and I think
I
that's going to be a
mean,
minimum if he keeps the rate up.
yeah, one of the things that has to be considered is the African nations, but I believe because there's a lot of cup football in January, I'm not really sure. Andy, maybe you can help me out, but I think there's only 3 Premier League fixtures that most players will miss as a result of the African nations. How you doing, Andy?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, pretty good. I must say I'm suffering from a cold at the moment, and this is going to be a quick show tonight. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty good. So we were
The one,
just talking about the marvelous Mo Salah in the last couple of games.
Wish you a speedy recovery, mate.
Thank you, buddy.
yeah,
You
the
said
thing
about
that
Mo
we
Salah, yeah?
Yeah, the thing that we've also got to think about as well, which I don't think anybody's kind of taken into consideration. Yes, the African Cup of Nations is going ahead as far as we know, but with this new variant of COVID, and yes, I did say the C word, um, that can throw a spanner in the works with that as well, with players not actually travelling.
They
Yeah,
were
that's
discussing it today, weren't they?
Were
They're
they?
saying that a
I missed that.
lot of people are expressing concern about it.
Yeah, yeah.
so. Where exactly in Africa is it being held this year, Andy?
Cameroon, I think.
So yeah, this next couple of weeks is going to be very vital in terms of
It,
the
it's
migration of the
further north than where the
yeah
worst problem is.
Yeah.
The main problem is in the southern part of Africa.
Yeah,
But
South Africa.
we don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 weeks, do we? But
yeah.
No, well, the countries probably will be gearing up for a war against this new variant anyway, and it is probably possible that it's going to interfere with the African Cup of Nations.
the only thing is you can't stop. I mean, like, how fanatical some of the countries are about their thing. You can't stop the players playing for their countries if
No.
they want to. And say someone like Salah would want to play for Egypt. I don't think you'll stop them playing.
But you've also got to take into consideration the quarantine when they go over there as well, and that sort of stuff as well.
I mean, the issue is, as I understand it, Salah will only miss 2 or 3 games tops, and that's
even going out there. Wouldn't they be doing some sort of quarantine anyway? Because I don't know of any country that's not doing a quarantine for people coming into their country. Unless the Cameroon are going to say, do you know, we're not going to quarantine anyone when they come into the country purely for the African Cup of Nations, which would be kind of silly, right?
It's a little bit of a
yeah. It's, but we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, if it's like any other country that we've previously seen, yeah, they said people got to kind of stay up in hotels for a couple of days at least, and yeah. They've got to take that all into consideration when players are flying out to the Cameroon. So they'll probably, if anything, they might miss more Premiership games because they might have to fly out earlier to get past the quarantine so they can play in the African Cup of Nations. But we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Okay. So yeah, we'll have a look at the games on the match day 13 very briefly. Arsenal had a good home result against Newcastle. I've got to be honest with you, I was at that game. Newcastle are easily the worst team that I've seen this season. So that result was actually, for me, it was poor. We should have scored 4 or 5. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa. I think that was one that you picked, Andy, for Aston Villa to beat Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
where I think most of us probably would have thought Palace at home would have triumphed. Liverpool Southampton was a gimme, but of course Liverpool doing their usual round of 4. Norwich Wolves. I think again you, Andy, picked Norwich to potentially win that one.
I think I said a draw, but possibly, maybe Norwich. But yeah.
I thought that was
so that was an interesting draw. Norwich picked up a couple of points along recently. We had another 0-0 at Brighton Leeds. Brentford turning over Everton, which right now I think we'll have a little talk about Everton in a little while because they're in freefall. Situation's not looking good there at all. Tottenham's game at Burnley. Yeah.
2 points in 8 games.
Yeah, really bad.
One of them was against us.
Wow. Yeah. Tottenham, their game against Burnley was snowed off. Leicester had an impressive 4-2 win against Watford. Jamie Vardy back on the goal sheet.
He got a brace in that game, didn't he?
Yeah. So he's actually currently sitting as the second highest goal scorer in the Premier League on 9 goals.
Yeah.
So have we seen the return of Jamie Vardy? Is the question there. What's your thoughts on that, Neil?
I'm not sure. I mean, like we're kind of a third of the way through the season, coming up with 9 goals at this moment in time. It's pretty good for him. Hopefully, we'll see more goals from him. It means that Leicester will actually play better, and we'll see better games coming from them. Hopefully, yeah, and he'll give Salah and every other striker out there a run for their money. Because it's kind of boring if one player kind of runs away with it. No, there's no excitement in that. So it'd be nice if he could get up there as well and score as many goals. That'd be good. You still there, Tony?
Yeah, just having a bit of a coughing spell. Interestingly, when you look at I've got another sheet here with the top goal scorers in the league, headed by Mo Salah on 13, Jamie Vardy smack in the middle of the Liverpool triumvirate with 9, then Diego Jota with 8, and Sadio Mane with 7. And then you've got Dennis at Watford with 6, and Mikel Antonio on 6. Ronaldo also on 6, Rafinha on 6. So it's an interesting sort of top 5 or 6 for goal scorers currently. The people you'd expect to be up quite simply are not there.
I expect Ronaldo to actually bag a few more, to be honest, as the season goes on. So I think he'll be up there within the top 3 definitely.
You know,
especially with Ragnick now at the helm. I can see all these guys trying to impress him so that they get their first team position on the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the top 4 teams, you kind of think, well, Liverpool have got everybody scoring. Man City, just see who their top scorer is, Bernardo Silva on 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely share the goals out, but you kind of think that, you know, what would Man City be had they got a decent striker?
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of think that they don't, the way they play and whoever scores for them, they don't actually need a striker. I know that sounds kind of silly, but they're the one team who can actually go the whole season without a striker and still win the league.
Yeah.
Because everybody else chips in, and that's what I'd like to see a lot of other teams do. That they spread their goals out, so even if their on-form striker doesn't score, someone else can score within that game.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I like a striker to be a striker. I want my striker to score me goals. You know, we've got a problem with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at the moment. You know, everybody who supports Arsenal will tell you if he doesn't score a goal, he's an absolute disaster in a game of football. We're literally playing 10-man football with him in the team.
Yeah.
Andy, what's your thoughts on that kind of weird structure in terms of who's at the top of the goal charts and who's sort of...
Well, I mean, it's no grace of given how many goals Liverpool have scored so far this season. It's no great surprise that their 3 whippets up front are getting all, you know, are at top of the goal scoring charts, with maybe only Vardy in the middle of them. There's no doubt. I mean, I've been saying it for time and again. City can win the league, whatever team they put out, even if they've got false 9 or whoever they choose to play there. However, I would be really interested to see just how good City would be if they had a proper number 9, or, you know, a proper centre forward to finish off some of the moves that they make. Because you do think sometimes if they had a top class striker, they would be. I mean, they're frightening anyway.
Yeah, they'll be putting away more goals.
It's probably good for the rest of us they haven't got a top class striker, because if they did have, Lord knows what they would do to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know, they could win 7-0 every week. But I mean,
exactly.
But yeah, I mean,
now, can we?
Sorry,
we can't have them doing that now, winning 7-0.
Well, you can't, certainly. The rest of us, there's you know, Chelsea, City, and Liverpool are away up there, and they're going to have their own little 3-way battle for the title. Everyone else is fighting for being the best of the rest, 4th place and European places. You know, but I mean, Vardy's done well. You're talking about the goal scorers. Vardy's done well to, you know, be on 9 again, or 8 or 9, whatever he's on.
9, yeah.
You know, he does it consistently. He has little dips in form here and there where he doesn't score for a few games and stuff. But like most good strikers, he'll always bounce back and have another run. He does tend to score in runs. And he often starts seasons quite well. But then he tends to go for long dry patches as well. So we'll wait and see what happens with Vardy over the rest of the season. But yeah, a lot of teams don't have one goal scorer that's, you know, scoring prolifically at the moment. I mean, it's not like you've got...
The game's evolving though, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's the way the game is evolving. especially with the
You
wingers.
say that, but
and
look
stuff
at
like
the
that.
good. If you've got a good striker, you've got a good striker.
Yeah.
Mbappe scores loads of goals for PSG. Lewandowski scores loads of goals for Bayern.
Fine.
Erling Haaland scores loads of goals for Dortmund. If you
Yeah.
have the player whose sole task is to score goals and he's proficient at it, he will score you the goals. So I don't care if you've got 10 other players who can score you goals. The guy who's going to score you goals will score you goals. And ultimately, that is for you guys. It's good that you've got all these other players scoring goals. But let's be honest, Mo Salah is Mo Salah. He's clinical. And right now he's in, as I said, he's in football nirvana, where literally it looks like everything he touches turns into a goal.
Yeah,
and
the Egyptian king.
Yeah, I mean, your prediction of 23 goals to me is actually quite a low number. I think the way he's on course right now, I could see him scoring 30 goals this season. And don't forget, it's not that long ago that 30 goals was a regular. Harry Kane scored 30 goals 2 seasons ago,
I agree with that. But the thing is, if you watch him season upon season, the amount of chances and the amount of goals he scores compared to those chances, he should be bagging at least 30 goals every season. But he's not, and that's why I'm not going to. I wouldn't put that figure even on this season as well, because he's going to miss a lot more. He'll score more goals, and I hope he hits around about the 25 goal figure. But if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised, because he wastes a lot of chances as well. He wastes so many opportunities. So yeah, it'd be nice if he got 30 goals, and I'd love to see that. But
he'll have a dip in form at some point, because all strikers do during the season. But so far, he's almost a goal a game. Almost a goal a game so far this season, and there's 24 games left. I mean, he'd need another, 17, 18 to get to 30 goals.
Don't get me wrong, he's on course to do it. He's definitely on
course. He could do it, but it is 30 goals in a Premier League season is a tough achievement. Harry Kane's done it once. Salah's done it. Salah did it the season Kane got 30, Salah got 32. They've both done it, and I think Salah's done it maybe twice, and I think Kane's done it once or twice. But I think Kane got 29, and I think then he got 30 or something. But Kane's been doing it for 7 seasons, so there is a big question mark over what's going on with Harry Kane this season. Because again, he had a 1-on-1 last night, and the keeper saved it. So he's not getting a lot of chances, but the ones he is getting, he's not putting away. So there is a it'd be interesting to see what happens with Kane, because he's done it consistently for 7 years. So there is definitely something not right this season.
And did you think that's because he didn't get his way to get away from the team?
Well, I believe that the truth of it is that initially, yes, that was definitely part of it right at the beginning of the season. I think then there was I don't think he really believed in Nuno. And so I think then there was this sort of period where Spurs were just absolutely diabolical, because it appeared that they were just playing to get the manager sacked, which eventually they succeeded after the United game. Because the United game was funny, because it was like 2 teams that were trying to get their manager sacked, as far as I could see. and Spurs were just worse than United were. But now I think he can get behind Conte, but I think now he's sort of fallen into a rut where the players don't seem to know where to give Kane the ball, because 1 minute Kane's being told stay between the penalty area and stay up there, but then the next minute we don't create anything, so Kane starts dropping deep, and then they knock a ball long thinking Kane's going to be there, but he's dropped to receive it, and then the next minute they're looking for him again. It just seems at the moment there's still something a bit off with the dynamic in the team, that they're not creating that many chances.
But then that's down to your new manager now to kind of get these guys.
But I mean, Conte has alluded to the fact already that he doesn't believe the quality of the squad is high enough, and I think in particular in the creative areas. I think if you watch Spurs this season, we can still score goals we still do look dangerous when we get the ball into the final third. And now with Conte, we look a little bit more assured defensively, but there is still a big problem in Spurs' midfield. Spurs in possession are not good. And given historically Spurs have been a good possession team without ever necessarily winning stuff, generally we're good in possession. We're not good in possession. This season, we are very poor in possession. We're not retaining the ball well. We're not creating things well. We're relying on counter-attacks and dynamic breaks, and the fact that you've got Son and Kane up front to get you goals. The problem is at the moment Kane isn't getting them. You know, so but weirdly, I mean, bizarrely, you think how poor we have been this season, and yet win our game in hand and we're fourth. I mean, it's absolutely it is really nonsense. It does make me ask the question. Aside from the top three, who are exceptional, how good is the Premier League? If Spurs had played Burnley and won on Sunday, we'd be fourth now.
Yeah,
and I mean, that I find quite bizarre, because really we have not. It was a bit more encouraging last night, but still not the kind of Spurs performance you want to see. But it was better.
Yeah.
But there's still a long, long way to go. But for us, still to. Well, I mean, we could if West Ham lose to Chelsea tomorrow, which could happen. I'm not sure it will, but it could happen. If West Ham lose to Chelsea, if we beat Norwich Sunday, we're fourth.
Yeah.
Now and then Arsenal play Monday night. I know it could change again, but then they would have still played a game more. But it's a bizarre fact. I think it's bizarre when you think how poor Tottenham have been this season. And I don't like talking about it and saying it because I'm a Spurs fan, but at the same time, you know, the reality is there. We're not good to watch this season. And I think Conte is going to change. There was a semblance of an identity, I think, forming last night. Like the players seem to beginning to understand what he wants from them. It's just at the moment, I'm not sure that the dynamic in the squad is right for what Conte wants to do. We don't have any creativity. But
he's going to have to create that somehow, isn't it? Until the January window, he's going to have to
there's rumours that he wants Tolisso from PSG. You know, Corentin Tolisso. Now, whether that will be the answer, whether he'll be an answer in the Premier League, how he would cope with the intensity and the power of the Premier League, I don't know. They also talk about Kulusevski from Juventus. You know, these are good players, but often good. You know, Ndombele was fantastic in France, but he hasn't really done it for Tottenham. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we need reinforcements to maintain a challenge.
What I think we see clearly is that there's a clear lack of consistency in everybody apart from the top three, because everybody, it appears, is able to beat everybody with the exception of Newcastle, because Newcastle ain't beat anybody this season. And in fact, Burnley have only won once as well this season. Interestingly,
they're struggling. Burnley and Newcastle definitely
and
struggling.
they're a team that you traditionally expect are hard to beat and will get some good results during a year. So they're definitely struggling.
We're playing the league's form team on Sunday, Norwich. 2 wins and 2 draws.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's going to be a difficult game, to be honest. I think that will be a difficult game for you guys.
Quite frankly, at the moment, no game is easy for Tottenham because we're not creating enough to put teams away, which means, like last night, we should have had 4 or 5 against Brentford last night.
Yeah.
But Brentford were in that game all the way up until we got the second goal. So deep into the second half, midway through the second half, when Son made it 2-0, then you were fairly comfortable that we were all right at that point. But at 1-0, Brentford were always looking like they could get an equaliser. They didn't threaten too much. That wasn't their best performance. I've seen Brentford play a lot better than they did last night.
Oh yeah, the 3-3 draw against Liverpool, they were a lot better.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw that game and they were sensational in that game. They never got anywhere near that against us last night. So we were quite fortunate in that regard, is that we didn't meet an informed Brentford last night.
So I think that's the story of pretty much many teams right now. I think there are teams that are, started the season on fire. West Ham are another case in point. They started off on fire. They've suddenly come crashing down. A loss and a draw in the last two games.
To be fair to West Ham, they play some very good teams in recent weeks.
They've still got tough games to come. If
they
I'm not
have.
mistaken, their December schedule looks horrifying. I think they play Liverpool and some other big teams in the rest of December. So be interesting.
I think it'd be interesting to see what Man United do now, because getting the draw at Chelsea, beating Arsenal, and they've now got a run of fixtures against teams you would expect them to beat. Now, whether they will or not is another issue. But
they've
with the new manager in, sorry,
they've got Norwich, haven't they, coming up?
They've got a few games that you'd say that you would probably look at that and say, well, they're winnable games for Man United.
Yeah, they should beat Palace. They should beat Norwich, which are the next two
Norwich,
games.
Brentford.
Brentford. Well, Brentford. I think that's going to be a tough game anyway, because Brentford, depending on which Brentford turns up, they could turn United over.
The truth is, none of the games are easy, but all the teams that they're playing in December, you would expect them to beat if it went to form.
Yeah. If you look at pen and paper and look at their team, they shouldn't be worrying about any of those teams realistically.
No. Yeah,
but we know that that's not happened over the past 6 games or so.
Yeah. So let's finish off talking about the games that we've just seen over the last couple of weekends, or last weekend and midweek games. Man City got a 2-1 win at home to West Ham. That was an interesting game. I thought it was a well fought battle. You expect Man City to do their usual, have loads of possession, but West Ham were in that game.
David Moyes
on that one, Andy and Neil.
David Moyes has definitely got West Ham playing on a higher gear now. Yes, I know they started off on fire and they've kind of dropped a couple of points here and there, but there's something about David Moyes and West Ham. I think that's the team that he should really be managing anyway. He's got the best out of them. To be honest, no one expected him to be round about 4th, 5th, 6th, to be honest, when you're looking at the teams that they're going to be contending against. But you know what? I could see them getting 4th.
I think in truth, I mean, that game, although it was a 2-1 scoreline, City could have had 5 or 6 in that game. That they were well in control of that game. I think 2-1 slightly flattered West Ham in that match.
I think that's definitely the case. But West Ham also had some pretty good chances themselves.
Yeah, no. The point I'm saying, the good thing about what West Ham are this season is they're staying in matches. They're giving themselves a chance because they're not going 2-3 goals behind like Spurs have done 3-4 times this season, where we've just given the game away in like a 15-20 minute spell, and you're not going to come back in the Premier League from those kind of figures, or very rarely you will. Whereas West Ham are making sure that they go behind, they keep it to 1 goal, that they're staying in the matches, which always gives them a chance because they're very good at set pieces, with the likes of Souček and Antonio and Bonner and Dawson and all these people that they've got that are very good at set pieces. If they are only 1 goal behind, they are always in the match. And Moyes has got them very well organised. And yes, I mean, you would say that of all the teams, they've probably been the 4th best team this season. So they deserve to be where they are. The question is going to be can they sustain it?
Yeah,
I think they will sustain it. I'm not sure if they'll actually get 4th, because there's quite a few teams battling for 4th, but they will still be there or thereabouts by the end of the season.
At the end of this month, we'll be having a different conversation because West Ham play Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham in this month, and I think that will be the make or break of where they sit. At the end of this month will be where you expect to see them at the end of the season.
The Tottenham game is the quarter final. The Tottenham game's not a league
game. Yeah. My apologies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think look, come January we'll see where West Ham sit. As you said, Andy, you win your game in hand, you go above them. if we beat them, if Chelsea beat them tomorrow, then suddenly, all of a sudden,
Well,
West Ham are not.
we need to win Sunday against Norwich because we then have 3 games. Then we have Rennes in the Europa rubbish on Thursday, and then the next we have 3 games. We've got Brighton away, Leicester away, then Liverpool at home. They're our last 3 league games before Christmas. All 3 of those are potential banana skins for Tottenham. I mean, I don't expect us to get anything from Liverpool, but Brighton and Leicester away are going to be tough matches for Spurs.
Yeah.
So, we could go 4th and then be 8th again come Christmas. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're really not right now. You look at any of the teams, be it Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham, Man United, you're not convinced that anyone's putting a run of 3-4 wins back to back together out of those teams. And, we've got a bit lucky in that because the Burnley game was postponed, we had Leeds at home, which we won 2-1. We've had Brentford at home, and now we've got Norwich at home. So we've managed to get 3 league games in a row at home against teams we should beat, which has got us back into a position of contention. But then we're going to start having some tough games again, and then we'll see how much progress we've actually made. So it's going to be interesting to see. But right now, you couldn't call who was going to finish 4th. I don't think right now. I'd still be inclined to suggest United will find the form and get there in the second part of the season, but we'll wait and see what happens.
So we'll finish off the fixtures. Try our best anyway. Chelsea, Man United saw the resurgence of Man United after a dour week previous against Liverpool. They came back and held a very strong Chelsea team to a 1-0 draw.
That was a good result,
at Chelsea,
actually.
Which was an interesting game.
Yeah.
Then midweek fixtures, the highlights of the midweek. Leeds came back from being nowhere to win a game at home to Crystal Palace. Chelsea beat Watford as expected. West Ham Brighton was an interesting game.
It was a pretty good game, actually. End-to-end stuff on that one.
What was it? Injury time when Mopé scored his equaliser.
Yeah.
Wolves Burnley 0-0. Southampton Leicester 2-2. Villa lost to Man City, which was not expected. Everton losing to Liverpool 4-1. The usual 4 again from Liverpool. Tottenham had a very good win at home to Brentford, as you alluded to, Andy. Not really the Brentford that we had seen at the start of the season. I think they're kind of starting to hit a point where they're not as quick as they were when they started the season. And then, of course, the big game at Old Trafford saw Man United come from 1-0 down to beat Arsenal 3-2. As I said, Arsenal.
What did you make of the goal while De Gea was down on the floor?
That stood, man. I thought, me personally, that should have stood anyway.
In terms of the rules, it's a valid goal. There was nothing to say that Arsenal had to stop in the rules, and therefore the goal had to stand. But I've always, in your playing days, you would normally, if the goalkeeper's on the floor, you'd normally put the ball out because the goalkeeper is the one position on the pitch that, you can score from anywhere if the goalkeeper's on the floor. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of so there was something that didn't quite sit right with me, but I can't argue that according to the laws of the game, it was a valid goal.
You're talking about sportsmanship.
Yeah,
but when it comes to tough competition,
it went out of the window a long time ago. I know, but I'm just.
Well, to be honest, let's not say that it was unsportsmanlike by Emil Smith Rowe to hit the shot, because let's be honest, it was a very quick sort of situation. It wasn't one where he would have seen that the goalkeeper's clearly down.
What was interesting? Was the ref. The ref went to put the whistle to his mouth, but he didn't blow the whistle. If he'd have blown the whistle before the ball had crossed the line, then the goal wouldn't have stood. But because he didn't actually blow the whistle, the ball crossed the line. Then he blew his whistle.
Well, he's
It was
waiting.
too
He's waiting
late.
to see what happens, isn't it? Because sometimes that's what they do. What they do is they don't stop play straight away. They just let the advantage carry on and see what happened. If Smith Rowe was Smith Rowe, wasn't it? Yeah. If he had missed the goal, it would have been as is, right?
Yeah.
But because he scored, that's why everybody's now questioning it. Should the ref have blown his whistle? But normally it's like you play until you hear the whistle anyway. So you can't blame Emil Smith Rowe because nothing had been blown by the time he struck that ball. And he's gonna hit it towards the goal anyway, isn't he? I mean, come on, it's a competition, right?
I don't think the truth is, because it happened fairly quickly, I don't think they realised necessarily, some of them, that the keeper wasn't in play. I think it was only really sort of after the event that everyone realised exactly what had transpired, and it was too late, because the referee realised at the last second when to blow his whistle, but then hesitated, and by the time he'd hesitated, the ball was in the net, and then he realised he originally, I think, disallowed the goal.
Yeah, but
And
they
then
went to VAR,
got told he had to give it. Didn't
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was a bit. It was a bit of a strange one, but yeah.
I mean,
But
by
I
the law,
find Aubameyang a strange one. What is going on with Aubameyang? Because he's your captain, and yet you're substituting him with 15 minutes to go when you're 3-2 down. I mean, that's like Tottenham taking Harry Kane off when they're 3-2 down with 15 minutes to go. I don't get what's going on there.
So, in short, Andy, the simple way to look at it is, if Aubameyang doesn't score a goal in a game,
He's
his
not
mark
offering.
out of 10 will range between 3 and 4. And that's been the case all season. He scored 5 goals this season. 3 of them were in one game. So if you take away that one game, he scored 2 other goals. Yeah. For a guy who's on the stupid money he's on per week, 250 a week, is it? 300 a week. Quite simply, that's unacceptable.
Don't you think that Arteta should actually make more competition for that particular position then?
Well, the point is, he's got Lacazette, who is out of contract and will be out the door on a free in the summer because of stupidity by the Arsenal board. You got Eddie Nketiah, who is out of contract and will be out of the door because Arsenal stupidly haven't re-signed him or decided to sell him at a point when they could have got decent money for him. So we're going to lose 2 players on a free, and there are backup strikers. Martinelli is a striker, can play that role. Obviously, he's found a way to play him on a wing.
I whisper it, but I do like Martinelli.
He's a great player.
I think he's a quality player. I've been saying that for a year or two.
Yeah,
but
so
you should be able to do something with him
in the summer, without a shadow of a doubt. Arsenal need to find a striker, because they're going to lose Lacazette. They're going to lose Nketiah. Following Balogun is scoring goals like they're going out of fashion for the under 23s. Why he's not getting promoted to the first team, God only knows, because the kid is a natural.
I was quite surprised you didn't go for Tammy Abraham. I would have thought that would have been a possibility for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many names. Vlahovic has been highly touted recently. Ollie Watkins, Isaac at Ajax.
Isaac, I think, is quite a good player. I quite like him.
So there's, it's the usual, Andy, with Arsenal being linked with a million players, and then obviously somewhere along the line we'll end up with somehow. But yeah, Aubameyang right now is not worth the paper that he's been written on the team sheet. He's a complete utter waste of a player on the pitch.
I just think you've got to make a decision on him, because the way I look at it is, I just think it sends a bad. If you've got someone that's your captain and he's the striker, he's the main striker, and you're 3-2 down, he's the one that you want scoring the equaliser in the last 5 minutes of the game. To take him off, I just think that sends a strange message. Yeah. But then if he's not doing it at all and you don't trust him to score that late equaliser, well, really, maybe you need to start looking at an alternative.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Maybe
so
they shouldn't be starting him.
In that game, he missed a sitter from 2 yards out. He
Yeah.
missed the goal. I know it
Well,
was offside.
I
But he
also
was
saw him
2
go
yards
through
out
near
and he
the
missed
end.
the goal.
He smacked the ball really hard at De Gea near the end
Yeah,
when he went through.
yeah, that was okay. So we got one on target. The game against
But I
Newcastle
mean, I think he
again.
should have done better. Like, I think he should have kept the ball low.
Again, the game against Newcastle earlier in the week. You know, he misses a sitter. You know, all right, we win 2-0, but let's be honest. You're the striker playing against the worst defense in the league. You should be
You should be
scoring.
bagging. You should be bagging at least one goal.
Yeah, and he's missing sitters. So he's why, for some Arsenal fans, Mikel Arteta hasn't quite got their backing, because everyone else can see it, but the manager continues to persist with a player who gives you nothing.
No, we don't see what happens on the practice field, right? So maybe he's doing well in practice.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Neil. What you do on a practice field, if it doesn't equate to it in a 90 minutes, you can't carry on doing that.
Yeah.
Because many a player look mustard on a practice field. I remember the stories about Perry Groves back in the day, how good he was in a training pitch. But let's be honest, no one's putting their money on Perry Groves being a top striker at Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, every team has a player who looks mustard on a training field, but that does not equate. If it doesn't equate after a series of tries, you eventually have to say, you know what, this ain't working.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, if he's only scored what, 2 goals, you said, outside the 3 in one game,
Yeah,
then yeah, Arteta should
got
be
to
doing
get rid.
something about that. He should
Yeah.
he should be putting him on the bench, then starting him on the bench,
He
and then
should
maybe
be on the
bringing him on.
bench. You're absolutely right. And furthermore, he's not encouraging the team. He's not a leader, so he shouldn't be the captain.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the question. That's the point I'm making. Is he's your captain?
He's
So
not.
if you're not going to trust him to be the guy that's going to get you out of jail, like for instance, United, their go-to man, Ronaldo, and you wouldn't take Ronaldo off if you were 2-1 down, would you?
No.
Because he's the one that you would think. So it
Yeah.
just made me raise my eyebrows when I saw them subbing Aubameyang when you
Yeah.
need a goal. It's
Yeah.
a bit of a strange one.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised on Monday night against Everton if he doesn't start.
Well, I always think that Lacazette looks sharper than Aubameyang when he plays.
And everybody at Arsenal sees that. Everybody to a man can tell you Lacazette is a far more involved player. He may not have the finishing class of Lacazette, of Aubameyang, but he's a better all-round footballer. He'll get you more assists. He'll be more directly involved in goals than Aubameyang will be. Aubameyang's passing is atrocious.
So
why isn't he being played then? Your view?
That is why the manager is getting so much flack.
Yeah.
Because he's made decisions like William Saliba, a player who's currently playing his best football in France and is looking mustard. He looks fantastic. But guess what? We've got this kid on loan. Why? You know, but we've got other players at Arsenal who couldn't carry it, whatever.
Couldn't carry
you
a
know,
tune.
We've got players like Kolasinac at Arsenal, and you go like, really? How can we have Kolasinac at Arsenal when
he's not playing though, is he?
On loan?
He's not playing though, is he?
He played in the game against Man City. Now, admittedly, we had a couple of players out with COVID, but he played in the game against Man City. Kolasinac started and finised the game.
With Tavares and Tierney, he's not getting a look in at left back, is he, Kolasinac?
No, not at all. But then you've got players like El Neni. You look at El Neni and you think, well, he's not really the class that you need. He's not a bad player, but he's not.
He did all right yesterday, though. I mean, he played all right yesterday.
You know, let's put it this way. Last week, in midfield, Sambi Albert Lokonga was man of the match. The week before, Ainsley Maitland-Niles was man of the match. We come up against Man United. Neither of them are playing.
Well, maybe
It's
you need
really
to
strange.
give Arteta
But
a call and kind of say, "What's going on, mate?"
yeah, I mean, I keep telling you, Neil, mate. Look, you've got way too many strikers up there at Liverpool, mate. We could come to some kind of agreement because we've got a world of defenders there at Arsenal, mate. We've got players. I mean, we've got a kid on loan who's playing for it's either Hertha Berlin or Stuttgart. His name's Mavropanos, and he's one of the top 3 defenders in the German league right now.
So what's he doing
And
out
for
there
some
then?
reason, Arsenal don't want him. But we've got him on loan in Germany. He's tearing up trees in Germany.
Yeah, but the Bundesliga is a different type. They play different
Still a
to
strong
the way
league.
we play.
Still a very strong league. It's
Yeah,
not.
they are. Yeah.
It's not as weak as the French league.
No, oh, definitely not. From when PSG looked really bad in a lot of their games, it's got to be bad.
Yeah. Saliba, he terrorized Mbappe the other week. Literally,
yeah, he did.
stopped him left, right, and centre. I can't get a game at Arsenal. We've got Guendouzi in France.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
France. He's a France international.
Yeah.
And we can't find a place for him. And that's what's causing upset with some of the fans with Arteta, because he makes bad decisions sometimes that you can't really justify. Anyway, let's move on, gents. Lisa, can you put me on a new picture of the fixtures coming up this weekend?
This weekend's going to be quite interesting with some of those games.
Let's see what we got this weekend. So tomorrow's game in the morning is West Ham against Chelsea.
12:30. That's a 12:30 kickoff.
12:30.
Yeah,
massive game. What's your feelings on that one, Neil?
Do you know, as much as I want to see West Ham do really well against Chelsea, I can see Chelsea winning that 1-0. It's going to be a close game. West Ham, even though they've been more up than down, I think they'll battle Chelsea tomorrow. It'll be a good game, end-to-end stuff. And Moyes has got them on song, to be honest. So yeah, but unfortunately, that'll be a 1-0 to Chelsea.
Okay. I'm also going to go to. I think Chelsea will win this 2-1. So Neil's just predicted 1-0 for Chelsea. I've predicted 2-1 to Chelsea. Andy, what's your feelings on the Chelsea West Ham tomorrow?
1-1.
1-1. Okay.
Ooh. Oh, I hope you're right, Andy. I hope you're right.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Chelsea won, but I think West Ham will give them a run for their money. So I'll go for 1-1.
We can't be writing off West Ham. I know. They have dropped some points recently, but you can't be writing them off. They're still one of the strongest of the other teams outside the top 3.
I think there's a little bit of. I've seen a few chinks in. Chelsea got over the line, but they were fairly fortunate the other night, as far as I understand, at Watford.
They've been fortunate in a lot of their games.
So they're not putting teams, apart from a couple of results against the Norwiches and stuff like that. They're not really putting teams to the sword.
No.
So
they're just consistent.
I suspect that West Ham will be in this match. It could go either way, but I could see this being it being a draw.
Yeah, and interestingly, I forgot to mention it. The fact that I mentioned in the goal scoring charts, there's an absence of a Chelsea striker, because I thought Lukaku, the way he started the season, was gonna be a terrorist against all defenses. But I know he's been injured for some of the season, but he's not quite what we thought he would be.
If you remember, I did say that
you did.
I'm not a huge fan of Lukaku. I'm not saying he's not done tremendous and he tore up Italy last season, but I just think that I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks he is. I think he's decent. And he'll score goals, but I don't think you don't see Lukaku scoring many goals against the top sides.
I
I
mean,
don't
the
think he
Has he
interesting,
scored
scored
against
any yet?
Liverpool.
I don't think he scored any yet, has he?
I don't
yeah, he
think he
scored
scored any
against
goals
Arsenal.
against the top
Oh, he
sides.
scored against Arsenal. Okay.
I mean, the interesting thing is he's so prolific at international level, and as you said, he has scored literally everywhere else he's been, and even his record at Everton and his previous time in the Premier League, he was a goal machine. So it's very interesting that at Chelsea, a team that creates a lot of chances, that he's not so far bagged, 8 or 9 goals.
Yeah,
Well,
but he
to be
came
fair,
from abroad, didn't he? He played.
he's not played in the last 6, has he? I don't
6,
think.
yeah. That's what that's the caveat. But I would expect that at some point in time he would be banging in goals and be the
I
focal
think
point for West Ham because for Chelsea, sorry, because I think they brought him in to be an upgrade on Timo Werner, as far as I'm concerned.
No, he's been great,
Lukaku
hasn't he?
will still get to like 15 this season or something, but you would expect for a team top of the league that he'd be banging in
He's
20,
banging a lot more.
25.
Yeah, should
And
be. Should be.
I don't see him doing that.
Okay, so Newcastle Burnley, Neil, what's your prediction on that one?
Oh, the battle of the bottom, basically. I think this is going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a close one. I mean, Newcastle obviously have a lot to prove, especially with that money burning a hole in their pockets. Um, I think they'll probably take it 1-0. Burnley are going to give them a game, though. Burnley always do that with most teams. They give them a game, and it takes a long time before they concede a goal in some of the games as well. So
Well,
I
as I
reckon
mentioned
Newcastle.
earlier, Burnley have only won one game this season. Newcastle haven't won any, so I don't. This just sounds like a bore draw to me. What's your feelings, Andy?
I keep getting the feeling that Newcastle are on the verge of getting a
Yeah,
victory, and yet they keep managing to disappoint. I mean, it would help if they could keep 11 men on the pitch for more than 20 minutes. Um, I mean, they were home to Norwich on Wednesday night, and then
yeah.
the one
Still
thing
haven't
you
played
need to
them.
do, keep 11 men on the pitch. They go down to 10 men after in the first
Was it
half an
15
hour.
minutes or something like that? Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
something ridiculous.
you're just killing yourself before you've even started. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's a game where it should have been a bank of 3 points for them, and they didn't get it. And you think, well, if you can't beat Norwich at home, and they
Yeah.
were 1-0 up, but with 10 men, Norwich eventually got the equaliser. But
To be fair, you would have thought that one of the Newcastle with their new manager, because any team, whenever a team gets a new manager, the players they up their game and they look a
Yeah.
lot better.
I mean, I
Newcastle's one
really
team
like
that
St
doesn't actually
Maximin.
look
I
any
mean,
better.
he's a wonderful player to watch, St Maximin. Sometimes he runs up his own backside, but generally, he's a very, very likable and entertaining player to watch.
Yeah,
Wilson is a good striker, but they need to find a dynamic which can get the best out of St Maximin and Wilson, because those two are match winners. But the rest of the team dynamic just doesn't seem to work at the moment,
yeah,
and they're so poor defensively that they're always going to concede, and that's
Yeah.
the worry with Newcastle is you can't see him keeping many clean sheets.
So
exactly.
I've had this constant running battle with Bertram about Alan St Maximin because I just think he flatters to deceive. I think he's one of them players. He's got absolutely phenomenal skill, but his end product is woeful. He's got no assists. He's scored a couple of goals this season, but he's to me, I just don't see how you can look at him and think,
But
this is a
but
player of any
but
worth.
but, but Coxey, be fair, he's playing for Newcastle. If
Yeah,
you
Exactly.
put
this is true. This is
if
true.
you put some maximum in a better team with better players around him,
That's
I
what
have
you
a
need.
feeling that you would see that his
That
stats
that
would improve.
same with Wilson as well. Put better players around Wilson. Wilson will be
Yeah,
bagging more goals.
You see, the
Unfortunately,
thing is,
Newcastle just can't put it together at the moment.
I think,
And
I
with the new
think,
manager, you would have thought they would have been all up in their game and getting better results than they are now. But right now, they're
yeah,
still
I
struggling.
think Wilson will score your goals. Yeah. The funny thing is, what you just said, I think to myself back only to the end of last season. Joe Willock went to Newcastle at the end of last
Yeah.
season and scored 8 goals on a trot. Yeah,
Who?
Yeah, he did.
Alan St.
Joe
Maximin
Willock.
was playing in that team and still wasn't scoring goals. In a team that Joe Willock was free flow with goals. Every game he was scoring a goal, 8 on a trot. And Alan St. Maximin didn't score. And I had to say to myself, well, is that team really that bad? Because our player could go there and score goals.
But I'm not really sure that St. Maximum is ever going to be a prolific goal scorer. He doesn't
what's the
strike me
point
as that
in
kind
being?
of player. He's
I
more.
mean,
I would say he's more of a creator. He creates havoc in defences,
he
Does.
does, but if you don't
that
ever
creates space for other people.
if you don't create something from all that hard work and gusto, then it's pointless. I'll give you another example, Andy, and this is another player who I think of in the same way. Adama Traore is
What?
absolutely phenomenal at
Oh
running
yeah,
past
he's
players.
fallen by the wayside though, isn't he? Of late, he's just fallen by the wayside, mate. And that was a bit of a waste. But you know, he should have gone to a bigger team as well. Those players, they need to be in bigger teams, and the longer they stay in these teams that are struggling, the worse and the harder it's going to be for them to actually get out of that rut. And that's what needs to happen. Seriously, Newcastle just need to sell Alan Maximin. For his credit, he needs to be pushing to get out of that team. That's what he
But
needs to be.
he's not the sort of player that walks into any team in the top 6.
No, but you know where he is at the moment. But where he's at the moment, he's been dragged down with all the rest of the team, right?
So where should he be playing, Neil?
But then Newcastle will be buying everyone and their mother in the next 12 months. So
Yeah.
you know,
So but when they start doing that, is he going to get a look in? Probably not.
That's going to be the interesting question, isn't it?
Right, which is why right now he should be maybe pushing to get out of that team, because he will be dropped by the wayside. Trust me, and he needs to go to a team that's going to nurture what he's got
And that's the point
better
that I'm
around him.
making. If he can't push his way into that team, and he's going to be ousted by players coming in, maybe we're just giving him too much credit. Maybe he just isn't good enough.
I don't think we're giving him too much credit. I mean, what you got to look at, every player has one particular team that they're going to play so well with. They won't play like that for any other team. Yeah, they might look as if they come close, but there's always going to be one team that's going to get the most out of that player.
I don't know, Neil. And Ronaldo's pretty much the same player no matter where he goes. You score your goals. He's won titles at every club he's played for.
Yeah,
he is a bit of a phenomenon, though.
But you're talking
800 goals. I mean, that is something else.
Like the top players. You're talking about the top players. Alan St. Maximin is not the top player. He's not in that category. But players like Alan St. Maximin need to be at better teams. Yeah, even if it's a team that's like 6 or 7 places above Newcastle that are playing better, he will do better there. And you know, they'll get more out of him, and that's what he needs to do. He's not going to go to the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, City, or even United, Arsenal, or even Tottenham. To be honest, I can't see him getting there. But the teams below them, yeah, I mean, I think he'll do all right at Brentford. Crystal Palace, he'll do really well there as well. You know, he just needs a better quality team than where he's at the moment.
I'll give you another player that I think of along this line. A world beater, a fella who, when he's on his money, is totally unplayable, but gets way too much credit. Who do you think I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, a clue as to where.
Premier League player.
Aubameyang,
when he's on his form, he's probably unplayable. He beats players for left, right, and money. But when you look at his end of season stats, you're gonna be underwhelmed.
Who? Sterling?
Nope. Because
Firmino
Sterling scored goals. Who?
Firmino?
Nope.
I can't think of someone who kind of
plays. The player who
really...
I'm thinking of is Louis Zaha.
Wilfred
Zaha. Palace though, but he's at Palace though. Come on, he's at Palace. Yeah, he's at Palace.
Yeah, but let's be honest. The geezer played at Man United. They bought him for a reason.
Yeah,
he's terrorizing defenses, and when he's on his mettle, he terrorizes every team he plays against. But at the end of every season, I think to myself, Arsenal have been linked with Wilfried Zaha at least 3-4 seasons on a row because he looks phenomenal every time he plays us. Every time he plays us, he causes us problems, and he scores. He scored in quite a few games against us. But every season, I look at the end statistics, and I think to myself, as much as a good player that he looks on the pitch, his stats are not great.
Yeah, but
and is that because he's playing for Crystal Palace? Well, do you know what? There are other players playing in other teams worse than Crystal Palace that have way better statistics
yeah,
than
but
him.
look, Palace are playing Benteke still. He still gets game time.
Is that an
You know what I mean?
excuse? Is that an
No, but that
excuse?
says a lot. It says a lot about the team. Yeah, it says a lot about the team. As I said, players like that, those players need to be at better teams than their teams are at, because the teams
Okay,
that
let
they're
me
at
give you
isn't
one
bringing
more.
them. It isn't bringing the best out of him. Palace is not
Okay,
bringing
let
the
me
best
give you
out of him, is
one.
it?
Let me give you one more. And Andy, this is your guy. Tanguy and Ndombele.
Mm-hmm.
Is he not the best player Spurs have got? Just on skill.
Skill alone, you probably would say yes, and Ndombele is the best player at Spurs on skill alone.
Yeah, but are they bringing the best out of him? That's the
But
question.
but the thing, and Ndombele, they're different type. I'm not comparing their style; they're different types of players. But he reminds me a little bit of Ozil at Arsenal, where he'll have one fantastic game, and then you won't see him for 4 weeks, and then he'll feel like it again one day, and he'll play brilliant again. And but you don't get any consistency out of Ndombele. He hasn't had many consistent runs at Spurs, for a variety of reasons, injuries, whatever it's been. But he got a bit of a run last season, and he did look good for a little while, and then he just seemed like he got bored, and then he can't be bothered. And you're just thinking, well, when are we? You're our record signing, £60 million we paid for Ndombele, and he's done. He looks good in flashes, but yeah, generally he's achieved very little at Spurs in the two and a half years he's been there.
And you're not going to turn around and say, well, he's at the wrong team, are you? He's at a quality team.
Well, no, well, the thing is, if they can't get the best out of him, for him,
I think part of the problem with him is he was bought by Pochettino. Pochettino got sacked 12 games into that season, and Mourinho came in, and Ndombele's never going to be a Mourinho type player. and it was almost like, well, we've gone from being a high intensity, high pressing team to suddenly playing the Mourinho, counter attack, Nuno counter attack, Conte counter attack. There's a bit more of a press going on with Conte, but we'll wait and see how that develops. But
yeah, but with Maureen has this thing of breaking down players' mental attitude, isn't it?
Well,
he'll go to a team and destroy certain players.
And Ndombele wouldn't have signed for Tottenham if he knew Mourinho was going to be the manager.
Exactly.
That's the point.
And sometimes when you do get into a rut, even when the circumstances do change for the better, sometimes it's hard to get out of that because you've been in that rut for such a long time, right?
Well, I think Spurs are in a bit of a rut at the moment because it was almost, they went from having this sort of very dynamic style under Pochettino to then having Mourinho, which was a complete change of ethos and complete change of tactics, and then having Nuno, who was just like a poor man's Mourinho. I love the guy; he's a nice guy, but that was the wrong choice. Now I've got a lot of time for Conte, and I think in time, I think he will be the right appointment for us. But it's going to take time. I think he's going to need time to do his stuff. But he's already, I think, sort of laying down some ground rules about what players are going to get away. I mean, he's not given Dele or Ndombele haven't had a look in really under Conte yet. But they had a game in the Europa Conference League which we lost, and they were shocking to the Slovenian part-timers last week.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you really want to be in the team, then show what you've got against, a bunch of pub players. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, and they couldn't even do it against them. So it's like, well, how much do you really want to be in the side? So I can't see them getting much time under Conte, not unless he
Yeah.
really gets into them on the training field. But
Okay, so we'll carry on. Southampton Brighton. How'd you see that one, Neil? That's the South Coast derby.
Yeah, no, I see Brighton winning that 2-0. Southampton will give them a bit of a game, but I think
Southampton at
Brighton.
home. You still think Brighton will win that?
Yeah, Brighton. They're a kind of sometime-ish team, and but they will always play well. They've always played well, and I just don't think Southampton at this moment in time in the season are strong enough to beat Brighton. I can see Brighton winning 2-0 there.
I actually don't think Southampton will lose. I would be surprised if it was a draw. But the thing about Brighton is, no doubt they'll go and beat Spurs 3-0 next week or something, and then I'll be made to eat my words. But Brighton are struggling to score goals. They're brilliant. I mean, I like watching Potter's team. They're very good in possession. They seem to have an idea, a style. They look good in every game they play, generally, if you look, how they play. But they don't look very potent. And so if you're only going to score, they get a few 0-0 draws. If you're only going to get 0 or 1 goal, the other team's always going to have a chance.
Yeah.
And Southampton do have a goal or two in them.
Yeah, but Southampton they're not setting the league alight at the moment, are they?
They're not setting the league alight. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. Again, I mean, the game could go any way. I mean, Brighton could quite easily win it 1-0. I think Southampton could win it. I would probably pick a draw in that game. 1-1, maybe something like that. That would be my prediction for Southampton Brighton.
Okay, I'm actually going to join you on that one, Andy. I think that's a draw, 1-1. Wolves Liverpool, 4-what? 4-what?
I am so tempted to say something like 4-0, but no, I'm not going to say it. Because no, my luck, I'll jinx the team, and then Wolves will probably win 4-0. So no, I can't see Wolves winning this game. And there again, it's down to how many chances we actually take from all the chances we'll have. I reckon
it's going to be 4, isn't it? It's going to be 4.
Listen, I want it to be 4, 5, 6. I want to see one of those games where they're constantly scoring, like the England's women's football team. 20 they scored during the week.
Man? What's wrong with you? It's not 4 goals enough every game for the last 3 weeks. Come on.
Listen. Being a fan, man. I want to see them get double digits. Yeah. It'd be it's sad if it gets Wolves from the Wolves' point of view, but I'm going to say 3-0 on that game.
You know Liverpool have been starved of success after all those years in the wilderness. Now that they've finally got a team, bloody hell.
Listen, it's the manager. Put that down to the manager, mate. Put that down to the manager.
What's your feeling, Andy?
I could see this being quite a tight game. I think Wolves look quite well organised under Bruno Lage. If you look at their performances, they haven't lost many games this season.
No.
And I just, and Liverpool very strong. And before I go any further, sorry,
they've lost 5.
Yeah, okay, but that's 9 that they haven't lost. I mean, they're level with United on points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but United haven't been doing well, have they?
What I'm saying is that they've and Wolves had a bad start. They lost their first. Remember, they sacked the manager early in the season. Or no, Nuno left the end of last season, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, that's right. Different. Right? But they didn't have a great start. They've done reasonably well, Wolves, and they look quite well organised, I think. But I suspect Liverpool will win this match. But I could see it being quite tight. It wouldn't surprise me if it was only like maybe 1 or 2-0. I don't see Liverpool getting 4s and 5s in this game.
All right, I'm a go with my.
Apollo, I think
4-0.
I'm trying to get in on the act at the moment.
I'll go 1. I'll go 1-2-0, maybe Liverpool.
Okay, and Neil, you're going 3-0, yeah?
Yeah, 3-0.
So
Apollo, if you can hear us,
with usual 4. So it's 4-0 for me.
Just a quick one.
Home to Man City. What do you think, boys?
Oh, I think that's going to be a close game. I can see Watford scoring. I can't see them winning. 3-1 to City.
I could see this being more like a 4-0. 4-0, 4-1. City at Watford.
Interesting.
Watford have got some results this season. They've played pretty well.
Yeah.
And when City kind of take teams for granted, they kind of lose some of the momentum, even though they've still got the majority of possession. They just miss chances. I think this is going to be one of those games. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. Maximum will be 3 goals that they'll score in that game. 3-1, I say.
Okay. That's interesting. I think Watford have battled really well in every game that they've played.
They
I
have.
don't think they've been blown apart by anybody. I think they competed in every game. So I expect City to win, but I think it's going to be very close. I'm gonna go 2-1 to City. Leeds at home to Brentford.
I keep thinking Leeds are going to bounce back to life. If do we know if Bamford or Ayling are back? I know they've said they're back in training. I don't know if they're back in the side. I think Leeds win this game.
They're both available, apparently.
I'll have Leeds to win this one.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a close one. I think it'll be 2-2. Brentford, they're bound for a bounce back with their results. They're a very strong side, considering they came up from the Championship last season. They've done well. They're definitely one of the teams I've always said I'm not going to get relegated straight away. I think they'll give Leeds a bit of a game, and it'll be a 2-2 or 3-3.
I'll go 2-1 Leeds.
I'm thinking I'm gonna go 2-2, like Neil. Man United at home to Crystal Palace on Sunday. What do you think, boys?
I think United they're actually going to be on a run of wins. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say that, I can't see Palace beating them at home. This is going to be a 3-0 to United.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, I'd have fancied Palace to get a draw, but I think the fact that it was Ranić's first game in charge will probably spur United to win. I've got a lot of time for Vieira. I quite like the way he's got Palace playing this season. They look quite a decent side, but I suspect United. I'll go maybe 3-1 United Sunday.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Man United to win that one 2-0.
Okay.
Tottenham at home to Norwich.
We've got to hope to see if we can wipe out that negative goal difference. So I'm hoping for 4-0. Sorry?
4-0, yeah.
-4. So I'm hoping for 4-0. But reality, I'd be more than happy with 1-0. Right now, we just need the 3 points. So in reality, it will probably be a tight game, and we'll probably be clinging on to win 2-1 at the end. But yeah, I'm hoping that we find a bit of form and put some goals past someone, and that Harry Kane can get a couple and get going. But whether that happens or not, right now I've got no idea.
Yeah, I think since Dean Smith has taken over, Norwich are getting better. They're playing better. They're looking a little bit stronger. I can't see them beating Spurs, to be honest. But I do think that they're going to give you guys a little bit of a run, even if it's for 20 minutes. They're going to play well. I think it'll be 2-0 to Spurs, to be honest. Son and Kane getting on the score sheet.
Okay.
Stan the man.
Well, welcome, Stan Kroenke, aka Bertram. How you doing, Bertram? All the way from New York.
I'm doing well. How you doing, Andy? How you doing, Neil?
Hey, good.
And Andy should be smiling. Spurs are moving up the table, soon past us. And Neil is always smiling.
I'm a happy mate. I'm always happy.
Them call him Letzi.
Yes, man. Yes.
Things are good,
Look,
Tony. Things are good.
A few people didn't get that, People say, "What? What's that? Huh? Then what?" And I had to explain it a couple of times. Come on, man.
Lexi and Coxie, yeah, back in the
just
day.
got it, actually.
Yeah.
Now you repeated it. I just got it. I was wondering what it was about. Interesting.
And welcome to Apollo, I believe, has also joined us in the background.
Hey, Apollo.
Wait, hey,
Bye, Apollo.
So, yeah, we were talking Tottenham Norwich. My prediction for that game will be Tottenham 2-1. Prediction from yourself, Stan?
4-0 Tottenham.
4-0.
Wow.
I
saw them against Newcastle. They weren't good. With 10 men, Newcastle could have won that game.
Okay. And Apollo also goes with Spurs 1, Norwich 1.
Apollo must have had really daddy do this.
Hey, Anthony Roberts in the house. Aston Villa against Leicester.
Ooh, it's going to be a tough one. That I see Leicester winning that 1-0, but it's going to be a close game, tough game.
I'll go Villa 2-1.
Yeah, wow.
2-1 Villa.
Wow.
As we alluded to earlier, Jamie Vardy's coming to a sequence of scoring goals. So Leicester seem to have got their mojo back, as they would say.
I fancy Ollie Watkins on the score sheet.
Anthony Roberts says 3-2 to Spurs.
I think
1-0 to Villa.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies.
I think it's 2-2. I think Villa were really good the other day. Watkins playing well. David Lewis playing well. They have a decent team, actually.
Yeah.
I thought they played really well the last game and could have got some out of the game. So against a very good team. Yeah, and I think they could give Leicester a good game. I think it'd be 2-2 tie.
Yeah.
They look to me. Gerrard seems to have got them. I think they've got a plan. He's got his ideas across. There's obviously more to come from them, but they seem to know what they want to do under Gerrard, and they've got some good players there at Villa. And I think they might. I think you might see Villa go on a little bit of a run.
When we played in, they were poor, but they were good last game out. Yeah.
Anyone can lose to City. I mean, there's no disgrace to lose 2-1 to City.
Yeah,
so,
they did much better than we did. They gave City a game. We didn't give City a game. We just rolled over.
Yeah.
At least they gave City a game. We wrote against City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. We like next game, please.
So Neil, you should have a lot of interest in this because this is a game of two Liverpool greats, Brendan Rodgers and Steven Gerrard.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really call Rodgers a great, to be honest, because he got what a 7th, a 2nd, and 8th or 7th.
Gerrard's slip cost Rodgers his title.
Exactly. I was going to say that Gerrard cost Rodgers his title.
Do you know? Everybody says that. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case.
Come on, Neil. You don't give up that goal. You probably go next week to Crystal Palace and you got to win. You're probably so depressed from the loss against Chelsea.
If you look at the seasons before that, Palace has always given us tough games anyway. Yeah, so even with the Palace game after that game, it wasn't a surprise to me. We do that. Palace was one of our biggest bogey teams out there.
I can tell you one thing: neither manager will want to lose to the other one.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. Gerrard's got a lot more to prove, though, hasn't he? Yeah. And it's funny because one was the Rangers manager and the other was the Celtic manager, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there. I'm gonna go on this occasion. I'm gonna go with Leicester. Because I think they're just coming into a nice bit of form at the moment. I think they will win 2-1. Bertram, just so that you can catch up before we get to the Arsenal-Everton game, which is a formality at the Toffees ground. Let's go back up to West Ham Chelsea for you because that's a big game of the weekend.
I'll go quickly. 2-1 Chelsea. The great St. Maximin playing for Newcastle against Burnley. And by the way, St. Maximin, the most exciting player in the Premier League by a good distance, by the way.
We had this conversation earlier.
By a good distance.
Yeah, we talked about
and when he comes to play for us, when we buy him after Newcastle, get rid of him, hopefully. By the way, we tried to pursue him a while back, Tony.
Yeah, I know.
We tried to pursue him. So that means we saw something in him. He just didn't want to come to us.
And obviously, whatever we saw is something you can see that nobody else can see.
I know, but see, I wear glasses, Tony. And I heard Andy earlier. Andy saw him too. Andy is appreciative of talent. He's not Ndombele. Ndombele is not athletic. Can't really run, doesn't have the stamina, but very, very skillful. Premier League is unforgiving when it comes to that. Brighton Southampton. Brighton should win 2-1. Southampton not playing well. Liverpool Wolves, massacre. 4-1 Liverpool. They probably average about 2-point-something goals a game.
Yeah. So it's two goals.
City Watford. City scores, and I'm going to say 3-1 City, but City is hit and miss, depending on how all those false nines are playing. They're all the same to me. It's like 11 players playing the same position. Brentford Leeds, I'm going to expect 2-2. Man U, Crystal Palace. I didn't rate Man U when they played us. I'm going to say 1-1. I think we made them look good, frankly. Tottenham, Norwich, I said 4-0 Tottenham. Villa, Leicester, I mentioned already, 2-2.
Cool.
Everton, Arsenal.
I guess.
Tony and I are on the same page when it comes to Arsenal. As far as I'm concerned, we're picking the wrong forward line. Aubameyang is not good enough. Not good enough. Now, I'm not saying he's not good enough. Forget about his goal scoring prowess. I can't have a one-dimensional forward. Forwards have about 7 or 8.
We had a long chat about this earlier.
Huh? Not good
We
enough.
had a long chat about this earlier.
Yeah.
I keep watching other programs, and I hear Robbie and all of them talk about him because they're friends. I know you can't knock your friends. Not good enough. We need to get rid of him. Doing like what we did with Ozil. Get rid of him. Waste of time. Saka, at this point, not good enough. And I get grief about this from people, about how wonderful he is. 2 goals in 14 games doesn't do it for me. Theo used to score 1 in 3, 1 in 4, doesn't do it for me. And he just scored the last game he scored in before this game. He was 1 in 13. 5 goals last year. You can't have a forward averaging 1 in 5, 1 in 6, 1 in 7. You're not going anywhere. And he plays every game. So you're deficient on that side of the field. Aubameyang scored 4 goals, 2 from open play. Can't be in 14 games, can't be good enough. Now, Smith Rowe scored 4 in about 14 and he played all the games. But I look at stats. I look at Son. I look at Kane. You struggle on the right side, Andy. That's part of the challenge.
Yeah, we've got Mora that scores about 1 goal in 6.
Yeah, but that's not good enough for a winger. You got to need 1 in 4, 1 in 3 if you're lucky. 1 in 4 you can take. Not 1. Not. I think someone say Saka scored 3. I thought he had 2. Maybe a mistake. I know he scored the last game. I thought it was 2 with a couple of assists, and 1 assist was a corner. I do check stats because I think about productivity. All that flash stuff, you can I love St. Maximin because he's on a poor team. And I can see him creating havoc for defenders. You watch him handy. You need 4 people to mark him. 4 people, not 2 and 3, 4 people. So that means 2 people should be open. That's how I think about it. Anyway. Against Everton, I'm smiling thinking, I hope we win. We just don't have enough scoring power. We scored just about 50 goals last year. We don't score goals.
So Bertram, this is my prediction. I believe that Arteta saw on Thursday night the end of Aubameyang, and that's why he subbed him. Because don't forget, previously he would have let him play the 90 minutes. I'm willing to guess that he doesn't start against Everton on Monday night.
So I'm not sure about that. He's loyal to certain players. He's loyal to Abba. He's loyal to Odegaard. He's loyal to Saka. He's loyal to Smith Rowe. He's loyal to Partey. There are certain players who are set to be in the team regardless of how they're playing.
What you need to ask though is if he is your captain, which he is, you don't pick him. What message is that sending out?
Exactly.
Noble is the captain for West Ham. He doesn't start.
Sorry?
Noble is the captain for West Ham. He doesn't start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
but
well, he's at the end of his career, but the
Andy,
Jordan
Andy, he got the
Henderson
captaincy,
doesn't
so we
always
could sign a
start for
350 a
Liverpool.
year contract. Andy,
what's that?
Jordan
he got the
Henderson doesn't
captaincy.
always start for Liverpool.
But that's my point. My point is, I agree with you. I think Aubameyang is done. Is done now for you. That's my opinion. But that's and that doesn't mean to say he can't still score a goal, because he is a capable striker. He can score goals. Yeah, but for me, he just looks disinterested. I don't think he's got any motivation to go through it for you anymore. I don't think he needs to do it. I don't. There's something missing there. Whether he wants to be
Andy,
somewhere else, I
Andy,
don't
you're
know.
a striker. Andy, you're a striker. My understanding. As a striker, Andy, if you can't beat a man, you can't hold up the ball, you can't ward off defenders, you can't bring people into play, you're not good in the air. Why the hell do I need you on my field?
Well, 2-3 years ago, because he scored 20 goals a season, but he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, he used to score goals at Dortmund. He scored wherever he was. But the nature of the Premier League, at some point they find you out. They don't let you get behind them, and they play you in front of you. And he's not. And we don't have the best midfield. Also, the supply. We don't have the supply line. We don't have the midfield to give him the ball.
He did well in the Premier League for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But then he's just stopped really.
A year and a half.
Couple of seasons.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Came in January, scored 10 goals, then scored 22 the next season.
The thing you got to remember with Aubameyang is he's not a complete striker. He doesn't score goals with his left foot. He doesn't score goals with his head. He's predominantly a right-footed striker. He likes to get the ball on the left-hand side and play a diagonal goal into the top right-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. He's very limited. Yeah.
Tony,
he can't pass the ball. He can't pass the ball. His passing is atrocious.
Absolutely.
I think he is a problem in the style that you play at Arsenal. I think Aubameyang is a problem because his ability on the ball is not what you need in your lineup. You need a hold. What you really need up there is a hold up number 9, someone that can hold the ball and bring your other younger players with skill into the game. Yeah. And Aubameyang doesn't do that for you.
And last year we played Chelsea, our best game of the season. We beat them 3-1. Laka up front, Smith and Saka running off him like crazy. I think it was Odegaard in the 10. We destroyed them because we have somebody who can hold the ball up, draw defenders in, lay the ball off to those runners. We don't have that with him.
Well, I said that earlier to Tony. I said, to me, when Lacazette plays, you look a more fluid outfit when Lacazette plays. I mean, he's not prolific either, but you look better. Team, right? Your team build-up looks better when Lacazette's playing, in my opinion.
If we had Harry Kane, we'd make top 4 easily. Easily. Our defense has gotten better. Even though they gave up 3 goals the other day, they gave up 2. It was a penalty. Defense is solid going forward. Midfield needs some work, but with a striker who could have those kids popping left, right, and center, like Kane, we would make top 4.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. We've had a full rundown of 3 sets of games, and it's been appreciated.
Did we do the scores for the Everton Arsenal game?
Oh, go ahead.
Me. 2-0 Arsenal.
1-1.
Wow.
I can't pick against my teams. I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal.
So I'm going to go that the fact that we're going to have a new striker and be able to, I think hopefully Martinelli starts. I'm going to go 3-0 Arsenal.
Wow.
If I was you, Martinelli would be on my team sheet every week.
And
but who's going to get benched? Who's going to bench then? He's not benching Saka or Smith Rowe. Even though Smith Rowe was out of gas, he was dead the other day. Was knackered the other day. I'm not sure who he benches.
I like the bits I've seen. I mean, like I say, I don't like shouting about it, but the bits I've seen, because he's an Arsenal player, but what I've seen of Martinelli, I like the look of him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a decent player, and he's going to cause teams problems because he's quite direct when he runs, and and he's finishing. I mean, that finish he scored last week, that was top quality.
As a workhorse, yesterday, Tomiyasu had my eye throughout the whole game. I thought he did really, really
I'm
well.
still gutted we chose Royale over Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu, man, he's quality. He's quality. He's quality.
No, he plays. The defense is quality. I think all 5 defenders, including Tierney.
Yeah, he did well. Hopefully Liverpool put a cheeky bid in come January.
So for what? For what? I don't understand, Neil.
But Tomiyasu, man.
Oh,
ahead of Trent.
Put it in. Give us £100 million.
No, not ahead of Trent. But come on, man, we're playing across all the competitions, yeah. So some of the top games, we want to rest Trent.
Hey,
Neil,
you want to play Tomiyasu in the League Cup?
Do some business with one of those multiple strikers that you've got there, Neil.
Neil, you don't have enough money, Neil. You're not Man. You're not Newcastle.
Yeah, I know. We don't have that sort of money, man. We don't have that sort of money. Maybe we need to hold Newcastle up. Next time they come down, we'll just hold some guns to them, yeah? Rob them of their money.
Guys, it's been emotional. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Have a wonderful weekend.
It's been a
We'll
blast.
see you hopefully next week.
All right.
See you, Bertram.
All right. Same here, Andy.
See you later.
Take
Take
care.
care, gents.
Good night.
Bye.